Yo, and welcome back to another race tutorial with myself, Alec Briggs, and this time I'm talking you through how to race an elimination on the track, or a devil as it's also known. It's an absolutely brilliant race to watch, very exciting, and the premise is quite simple. We all start on the fence or at the bottom of the track, and the last rider over the line is eliminated each lap until you are left with just two riders sprinting it out for the win. It's a brilliant race to watch, as I say, and I'm going to do my best to talk you through how to get down to the last two. That's going to be very difficult today though, because this is a UCI race at Herne Hill and it's brought some brilliant competition down with the likes of Reese Britton, Will Perrett, George from Latvia of all people, and of course our man Joe Holt and Ollie Mangum in the mix too. What's great is the racing brought a brilliant crowd down, as you'll see as we come through the home straight. Very packed, brilliant to race in front of, and we better get straight into it as the racing is kicking off. Now, first things first, I always say it in all of my videos, and in this one it's just as important. Get a very good fast start. And if you need to make an effort from the back to get to the front, I highly recommend doing it because you will be rewarded in the long run. The idea with an elimination is to get towards the front and sit in around about second or third wheel, because at the start of the race with so many riders, once you're up towards the front, you are not worried about getting eliminated, as it's really physically not possible for you to be eliminated with so many riders behind you fanning up and down the track. What I would say is the hard bit is staying out of the wind and spending your energy wisely. If you can, the goal is to get to second wheel, not first wheel, because that means you'd be sitting on the front in the wind. Second wheel, because you'd be sheltered by the rider in front and you'd be avoiding the chaos behind you. The problem is that everyone wants to sit second or third wheel. So what you need to do is, most likely what will happen, every time you're sitting second wheel, when you come up to the line for a sprint, someone will overtake and try and fight you for that position, as Will does in front of us there. And what your goal is to do is to, every time you see a rider sprinting over the top of you, you sprint onto their wheel and try and follow them. As they go towards first wheel, you slot back into second wheel. It's a lot easier said than done, and it's very hard to do because everyone's trying to do the same thing. Now here is some tips to help you do that though. One thing I would say is that you do not want to be boxed in directly on the wheel at the bottom, because if you're boxed in, you've got nowhere to go and riders will come over the top of you, and if you can't get out sideways by muscling your way out, as Will was giving me a little shove to demonstrate perfectly there, you will need to probably go all the way back to come back around over the top again, and that takes a lot of energy and it is very risky too. So what I would say, the best thing to do is to always sit just towards the outside of the wheel, overlapping it from the wheel in front. That means you can move up the track as you need to, and if riders start piling over the top of you, you can just move off the wheel in front and try and follow the riders piling over the top and keep yourself at the front. Of course, you are going to have to throw a few elbows to do that. Main thing is keep your hands on the bars. If you start pushing riders out with your hands, that will be a DQ. You cannot go onto the Côte d'Azur, which is the light blue at the bottom either. As Will demonstrated, you can get away with it every now and then. If you do it in front of the judges, you will be eliminated, so best to avoid that too. Now there's also another way to race elimination, and that is sniping from the back. Sniping means you sit at the back and you basically roll the last rider every time to try and put them eliminated, and just finish second to last every lap so you never get eliminated. The problem is that does take energy and it takes the sprint and sting out of your legs. So my advice would be do a little bit of both and try and mix it up. And my advice would be get towards the front at the beginning of the race, and as you get towards the end of the race where it starts hotting up and the better riders are there, you can then start to play a bit more of a sprint game, sprinting and sniping from the back. We'll get into that in more detail later. Right now we're going to focus on just trying to stay up the front. So as you can see, it is not easy to stay on second wheel because the competition is so fierce and hot in this UCI race. So what we have to do is make the odd effort to get towards the front. What I would suggest is you hit two birds with one stone and move up when it is a sprint towards the line, and you carry your speed with you and continue that over the top and slot yourself towards the front. Now, no one's going to give up second wheel easily. You're not going to be able to just muster them off. So what you often need to do is go to the front, which is what Oliver Mangum has just done in front of us there. Now he's done the clever thing, which is what I like to do, and instead of going right down to the white, I like to sit just above the red whilst I'm in front to entice a rider to come underneath me, and then as they do that, I slot onto their wheel and sit second wheel. So you can see Ollie has done that perfectly, and he's just kept himself out of trouble, and well, I've ended up going round him, but he's put himself in a position where he can get out of the box. Now as I'm on the wheel of the rider in front, I am just overlapping it, constantly checking over my shoulder, and as we come around the banking towards the finish line, see everyone naturally starts speeding up, trying to come out of the way. I move myself off the wheel, as you can see, slot towards the side of him, and then I go in front. And as you can see, Reese carries his speed, goes towards the front, and then I just slot onto his wheel and sit to the right of him. And now I've got Alistair Bongo coming around the outside of me. Again, I just accelerate off of Reese's wheel and over the top. But Reese decides to accelerate onto Will's wheel, and I think, you know what, best not to fight it. We're going so fast, there's no way I'm getting eliminated on this lap, and I'll just follow the wheels in front and conserve energy where I can. You'll have to excuse the video skipping here a little bit. I know it's a bit twitchy, but unfortunately the file was corrupt and I did my best to save it, but this is the best I could make do with. So yeah, apologies, it's a bit annoying. It will not happen in the future. It's just my bad on this one. As the race kicks on, I'm starting to have to look behind me because there is not so many riders left in the race, which means you can very easily get caught out. And if you get stuck at the bottom and there's nowhere to go, well, you're the only rider there at the back, and it's almost like you could fit all of us across one width of the track with just one row now. And as you can see, I'm aware that it's getting hot and contested, and Will trying to force himself out of the box, and I'm not letting him go anywhere. I'm keeping him pinned down. He's stuck in the box, and what he's gonna have to do now is, look, he decides I'm not moving. He's backed out of it. I've sprinted round with Ollie and Joe to my either side, and we are safe and happy as Larry. Back to the front, out of trouble, and even Will has realised, nope, I don't want to be there again. I'm going towards the front. I've had enough of this. And I think, great, I'm going to jump straight on his wheel and stay out of the wind. But Reese, a very, very talented rider, there's a reason he's wearing that GB skin suit, and he has the same idea, so I've got to try and battle him for that too. Ollie again has the same idea, another great talented rider. I'm just going to follow him. Everyone's kind of getting nervous now. As you can see, it's getting very tight as Philip Lewinsky just sandwiches himself into safety and gets James out on the very bottom of the track. The bottom of the track and second row towards the end of the race is not where you want to be. I thoroughly recommend staying towards the outside of the wheel so you can move freely where you want and get your elbows out and move riders out of your way and off their line just in time. So as you can see right now, Philip is kind of trapping himself. He's riding way out of his skin and above his ability right now. He's doing a fantastic job, really sticking it to the good riders and getting some brilliant riders out. Is he out this time? I'm not sure. Let's have a look. It may have been Philip that time, I'm not sure. No, he's still there. That might have been Andrew Brinkley that went out last time. He's in the race. So yeah, Philip riding a very clever race, and someone you can learn a lot from in terms of using tactics and skill over fitness, because he hasn't trained anywhere near as much as some of the riders he's beaten today, and he's really taken some big scalps. Great for him. Now as we crack on, I'm just kind of starting to consider sniping. I've stopped fighting for the early front positions of sort of second and third wheel, and I'm sort of drifting towards the back. And now what I'm doing is I'm sort of having one rider behind me and one rider in front of me, and I'll just stop myself getting boxed in. As George tries to do there, I just give him a little elbow shove and go, right, now it's time to go, sprint around the top and keep myself out of trouble. And by doing sort of sitting with one rider in front and one rider behind me, I can kind of move to what they're doing. If the rider behind me starts accelerating, I'm just going to move out with it and try and box the guy that is in front of me. But if the guy in front of me starts going, well, I can just follow that wheel and stay in the wind a little bit longer. And as the guy behind me starts to come around me, I just move out and hold him off. Easier said than done, I know, but that is the tactic I'm using here. You could even see it's so windy today that Joe got to the front and moved off the front, swung up the track and onto the back, and is now trying to rush the gap and snipe one rider at a time. As he does, I'm not sure who's got out there, but I do know that he is safe, and Reece Britton comes towards the front with Will still sitting there, spending a lot of time on the front. If you're very strong and a very good rider like he is, sitting on the front is a tactic you can use. I just don't feel confident in my ability to sit on the front and have enough gas left in the tank to start sprinting it out for the final positions. Now, I think here is where it starts to get really close. You've got Ollie Mangum in 5th. He's stuck at the bottom of the track. We're all getting pretty tired at this point. The race does take its toll, and I think he is out, which leaves me, Will, Reece Britton and my teammate Joe Holt. You are technically not allowed to team ride together, but instead of team ride and help each other out, you just kind of let each other out of boxes and don't punish each other. But the thing is, I've now got Joe on my wheel as Will kicks and Reece hops on his wheel. I've just kind of got to watch Joe and see if he's going to get me out or not. He starts coming around me again. I've left myself room to get out of the box, and we all drag race to the line, and it's between Will and Joe. Who's it going to be? There's only 3 of us left after this elimination, and the commissaire decides to call Will out at the bottom of the track. It is done on the back wheel, not the front wheel, so that is to be considered when you're lunging for the line. Now I've got Joe Holt hot on my heels, ready to try and roll me and snipe me out of this position of 2nd place. He's going for it, he's winding it up. I've got Reece thankfully winding it up in front of me, which means I've got some speed and shelter, and Joe just can't come round with the pace that Reece is setting. It's 1 lap to go, the bell has just rung. This is for all the marbles now. It's just me and Reece Britton left, a very talented rider. I'm on slightly smaller gear than he is, perhaps too small. I like a small gear for a devil because I can accelerate out of situations very quickly, but in a match sprint like this, it may come costly to me. I'm trying to leave it as late as possible and get the jump on him. I decide to kick. He sees it and reacts very quickly. I start to come round him and start to drag race him to the line, but I just can't get around him and he holds me off. An absolutely brilliant ride by Reece. Nothing I could do about that. Thumbs up to him because, yeah, chapeau, excellent race. But yeah, I did my best. I think I did what I could that day, and I was very pleased to get 2nd in a UCI track race. I think my best result ever. As we come round, of course, you have to fist bump the very deserving winner. And as we come through to the brilliant crowd that is at Herne Hill, you got to raise the guy's hand and say, well done. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. Get near the front at the start, snipe towards the end, conserve your energy. Thanks for watching, and enjoy, like and subscribe. Peace.